Face reality, people. Movies are dead. Games are dead. Narrative? Dead.
Media is nothing but neural trigger response and viral conditioning.
Wait, what are you two talking about?
Yeah, for the ending.
Well, god freaking dang, bro. I think this actually was the movie of the year. The reviewers weren't wrong. This was actually the best movie I've seen this year. Not counting older stuff, just movies from this year. This was actually the best movie. And honestly, I don't think it's fucking close, to be honest with you. What do I put up there? The Challengers or something? Challengers is pretty good. This stomps Challengers in the dick. Stomps it dry.
Now you forget about Trap.
Yeah, Trap. Yeah, there's a lot here. There's a lot here for this movie. There's a lot. Well, the movie we're talking about is Nosferatu. Yeah, movie of the year. Easily the movie of the year. Doesn't mean it was perfect. I'm not saying perfect. I don't think I haven't called anything perfect. But yeah, Dark Knight is probably damn near perfect. It's damn near. But this isn't the Dark Knight. It's not Black Swan. It's not Cloud Atlas. But it's pretty fucking good. It's pretty fucking good. Jesus Christ, there's so many motifs and layers to this thing, symbolism. Like the plot itself is pretty straightforward. You look at it, but the things that are said by characters, from the myths and legends that are brought up in the movie, the what Nosferatu represents, what Ellen represents, or even Thomas represents. Holy shit, is this multi-layered? Even though it's simple, like the plot, if you just follow the plot line, right, of one event, then the next event, then the next event, then the next event, it's very simple. You can pick up on you can follow right through it. But the little attention to detail with simple dialogue is very well done, in my opinion. Jesus Christ. Now, in the beginning of this movie, I didn't know where we were going. I was like, okay, is this going to be a typical vampire movie thing? Is it going to just follow the Nosferatu, legend thing? I was picking up vibes of like the Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp, or like Eyes Wide Shut, like a kind of like a dark, kind of like the darker arts thing, a cult style fucking movie, which is here. It's definitely there. I just think they go further than both the Ninth Gate and Eyes Wide Shut as far as symbolism goes. I think they go further. Although Eyes Wide Shut is pretty damn good. Pretty damn good of a movie. Where do I start, man? I don't know if I want to go over the plot, really. Like, the plot's kind of simple. Pretty simple. It's not, it's kind of simple. Once you get backstory on the Ellen character, then it becomes a little more complicated. But as far as events, Thomas goes away to deliver something, or to get this Count Orlok guy to sign papers to buy up new housing, right? To buy up some housing. And he was there. He personally brought the contract himself. But you end up finding out, like, oh, that's like kind of a ploy, I assume, to lure in the husband of the thing that Count Orlok, or Nosferatu, actually desires, which is his wife, which is Thomas's wife, Ellen, because she is clearly special. She's the Neo of this movie, I think, right? She's the Neo. She's the Jesus. She's the Batman, the Superman of this movie. She is that thing. She is essentially the Messiah of the movie, bro. Like this dark looming force that's going to expose everyone's fucking deep dark things. It's coming through to terrorize you in the fucking night. those things that you hide about, that you're scared to talk about, like in your dreams, just things like bringing it out to life now. It's making it more visceral, more tangible, more. You can put your fucking hands on it. You can smell it. This dark, deeper, darker thing about ourselves: death, fear of death, other people's deaths, fear of other people's deaths, sex, darker sex, eroticism, fantasies, all that shit. This fucking shadowy claw is it's rummaging through this fucking city, right? And someone of the, I guess I would say her heart would be pure, right? The Ellen character, her heart is pure. And, with the ending of the. Did I spoil any of this shit? I almost don't want to spoil it because I kind of want to rewatch it again. How about I rewatch this at some other point in time, and then I do a full blown like point by point thing because I think there's plenty of elements to this fucking movie, like layered. Jesus Christ. God, there's psychology in here. There's philosophy in here. I think there was a William Blake fucking reference. Not that I know that guy's work too well, but and I'm gonna tie this in with this because when the William Dafoe, Willem Dafoe character, when he's mentioned, all of a sudden I was like, here we go. And as soon as I said that, this movie started changing in these symbolic forms. Granted, the beginning now looks more symbolic. Like, there's a lot of symbolism in that now. Now that I saw like where they were going, like, oh, okay, you guys did things in the beginning that is you probably did some things in the beginning that are going to be, representing something, an idea or a force or whatever, an archetype. God damn it. This makes me love, this is why I love movies, bro. This is why I love movies. This is awesome. Oh, there's little, the thing of the hit where he's getting particularly bitten in the heart, right? The Thomas character. And what does he want? What does Nosferatu want? He wants his girl, right? Because they had some sort of connection beforehand in this weird way. Almost like she is, because she is who she is, like this ultimate force of something else. I guess maybe you can call it good or purity or love or the maiden, as Willem Dafoe called her. Because she represented that, she already was somewhat in touch with kind of the polar opposite, right? This Nosferatu character, where he doesn't represent love, nothing to do with love. It's about possession and ownership and hubris even, and I'm so powerful, like this. I don't think if I say evil, I don't think that's a good enough word. All right, it's like calling the Joker Joker's just, he's evil, or the Joker, he's crazy. Those words do not fit what I witnessed as far as what
He's
the
not
character
evil.
represents.
He's not evil.
Or crazy, apparently.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that just bothers me when I hear reviewers and they're watching they review The Dark Knight, like the Joker, and he's crazy. It's like,
Crazy.
dude,
Yeah.
that character does not represent crazy. This is a force of nature. This is a representative of something, and those are usually the best versions of villains, bad guys, whatever the fuck you want to call them, because they represent something that us as an audience can touch, right? Our deepest, darkest. It could be desires. It could be things we don't want. It could be, in Ellen's case, right? When she lets herself be consumed by the shadow, or death is what they kind of call it, or called it in the movie at some parts. They said shadow like 10 million times in this fucking movie. But like when she's consumed by the shadow, there's some sort of light that's there for her that maybe something that she maybe negotiated and found already, and she knows it's there. That when she allows herself to be consumed by the shadow, the shadow doesn't know that it's there because it can't see that shit. It has to run away from light, right? And then that's when yada yada yada, the ending of the movie. Try not to spoil too much because I'm like, I want like 100% want people to watch this fucking thing. I think this was fucking well made and just in the nick of time, bro.
What do you consider spoiling? Like the things they did or the meanings?
Uh, I'm going with like if I tie a plot point, like a specific thing that
Oh, okay.
happened to
Okay.
like a
The things they
symbol,
did.
like, okay, watch out when he ties the red Nikes. That's a symbol for something. Like, okay, I'm giving a particular plot point, kind of, and if I explain how he got the Nikes, that's kind of giving away. I don't know. It's I'm kind of willy nilly with it, but like I think I'm talking in. I think there's so many layers, and I'm trying to go through the layers in a way that
Hmm.
it wouldn't be spoiling. But if I said like specific fucking like what your eyes will visibly witness, I think that's I guess kind of spoiling. But this is more of me like wanting the movie to be supported. Like we need more shit like this. It doesn't have to be this crazy and convoluted. Like I love The Good Place, right? The Good Place is happy, sunshiny, fucking in your face, have a good time type of show, right? The Good Place is a happy dappy show. This is a darker version of something. I think they're doing the same things though in that show and in this movie. What they're attempting to do, they're trying to pull the audience in on a deeper level and maybe tell you something about the world or yourselves or the creator or these archetypal concepts like the shadowy fucking Nosferatu guy.
Hmm.
Maybe that plays a role in this idea of a psychological shadow. Maybe not. I don't know. But I think they at least made it blurry enough to where you have to actually squint your eyes and really look into it. That's what I think they did at the very least. Although I do believe they were trying to go for particular symbols and symbolism. But who's to know? Who's to say? I don't know. I'm not them. I didn't make the movie.
Yeah.
Uh, Jesus Christ.
This has so many different possible interpretations of things,
Yeah.
and many of them are things that you would say that they're clearly like this means this or this means this. There's a lot of things that you'll recognize,
Hmm.
but um, like initially I came into this, I thought I was watching like, okay, this is gonna be another Dracula. I was not really focused on the movie in the beginning because I was like, I didn't really expect that much, and so
Fair enough.
and it changed when I did see more and more clear like symbols that were coming through, um, and they were very blatant, but they weren't blatant in a way where like it could be where they say something, it could be where they do something and they're telling you. A lot of movies do these blatant things very poorly. Like it'll just feel out of place, right? Like it, and I don't think they felt out of place. They called my attention because I recognized them, but I'm sure there's a lot of things I didn't recognize. Um, and and actually, for a part of it, we discussed some, which then caught my attention more. By just after the end of the movie, I'm like, this is that, this is that. There's so many things that it kind of all fell into place for me, like after watching it. So like a few minutes ago,
Yeah.
and it actually becomes, in my mind, it becomes extremely simple, like oh, it all fits.
Hmm.
But I'm wondering if it's because of like various other things that we may have had discussions about, various other things that have been explored, and if it's because of other things that have been explored, maybe someone else would have a completely different takeaway. But
Yeah.
for me, I ended up with a very clear conclusion of how this all fits together, and that is very interesting to me. Like that it could fit.
Yeah. I think there's at the very least there's enough abstraction to where, which is what I think the most important function of a movie is to be reflective, is to kind of put up a giant mirror. And yes, there's moving images and there can be this abstraction happening, right? But you can take that and kind of reflect off of it, and you can see something maybe about yourself or about your beliefs or ideas of the world and all that. At the very least, I think they put enough little things in here to like kind of guide you to a spot, but then you can kind of, I think you can like play with it somewhat. It could be a lot of shit, like up to interpretation, I guess. But I don't know. Just the way I read
So
it for myself personally,
yeah.
it feels like they were saying this, and it kind of it held up throughout the movie. Throughout the movie, that's why I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, maybe that's where they were going. I swear to God, the William Blake thing that felt like the most blatant one, where William Dafoe is talking about.
Yeah.
I guess he's talking about like materialist science or some shit, or materialist scientists I guess in their time period. And he brought up Newton in regards to that as well. And I'm like, oh, that's like a William Blake fucking painting. I'm like, oh shit. Because I swear to God, just recently heard of this William Blake guy. I heard like a lecture, and this lecturer brought this up in like an interview about William Blake's paint, like where he's like mocking Newton. He's like I think he's from Newton's time period, and he's like mocking him in this painting of like, oh, he's trying to understand the world. He's like in the ocean with his protractor studying like a tiny rock. I'm like, you're inside the ocean, dude. Like you're getting this tiny little chunk of it instead of like really experiencing the ocean, which is more of like a black
Yeah.
swan style thing.
Oh, okay. That fits.
Someone can
Oh,
correct me on that. I once again, I just heard it recently. I can't say I know, but I thought that was like
so
referencing that like kind of blatantly. Good.
you're saying there's gonna be a separate review? Um,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I have something on my mind.
Oh,
But
go
yeah,
ahead.
go.
No, no, this is for
Yeah,
me saying shit. You say whatever the
okay.
fuck you want.
Okay. So at the very like
If you want, if you want to give a warning, you can give a warning. If you think it's someone might be like, "Oh, dude, you ruined it for me, man." If you want to give a warning, go
yeah,
ahead.
well, so my warning here is about what I'm gonna go into is like what I think the whole movie was about, like in a very like nutshell, and
Okay.
maybe a couple of examples.
Okay.
So if you want to go through the movie and kind of explore and figure it out, come up with your own conclusion first, then yeah, this would be like a spoiler to that. It might be, it's just an interpretation that I came away with.
Okay. Fair enough.
So um so in the closing, there's definitely um the sacrifice. uh there's a sacrifice, and so I'm like, okay, there's this like just even the words, like I grew up Christian. I believe in Jesus. But whether you believe in Jesus or not, I think even more so if you think it's a story, like
Hmm.
one way to interpret what he's supposed to be as a story is he's supposed to be what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be like Jesus. That's kind of the point of it. And so
Mm.
um, if you take it that way, then like what does she actually represent? Is it, you could see it in like light and darkness and good and bad, but it's not good and bad. Um, it's what I took away at the end is that she's like the you, like the person, the being. That's
Mm.
like her. That's her. And she's talked about things that she's done, either that she feels shameful about, or she's either done or she's thought about them.
Mm.
I think the whole thing is about your inner self, right? Like your inner dialogue, your the shadows are suppressions, the
Mm.
like how you feel about yourself inside. What are you doing inside of you? And so what she actually represents is what makes you you. And so there's a lot of things that you experience during life that's going to battle against you. You're going to be like, "Oh, this is an experience." And let's say you're you and you pick up like alcohol and you start behaving like in a way that doesn't really represent you, but or maybe it does. Like, you can mean it either way, but like as you go through that, you're just like, that's not what I want to be. You have to like figure that stuff out.
Hmm.
And then there's all of these things that you're like, you have to like, to be you, you have to know what you're not.
Hmm.
And and in that sunlight, like, if you're not sure, if you hide it, if you cover things up and you don't own it, you're just like, well, that would be embarrassing, and you kind of put it away. You don't want others to see it. You don't want yourself to see it.
Yes, that's the biggest
That
part right there. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's about the inner you, and that erodes yourself. It hurts you, and in the movie, of course, it would hurt other people. It actually, you see other people hurt, but you get a sense that they are hurt because, like, what one person does affects others. Like, one person brings something to a group, to a family, to a group. They bring that, and and it affects other people. Even if it's inside of you, it affects other people. So, like,
I agree.
it's who you want to, who you are, and are you reflecting what you are, or are you hiding it? And once you face it, it's not a problem. It actually becomes like, this thing wants to consume her. And when she confronts it, in the end, what gets absorbed is the other way around.
Hmm.
Like, when confronted, the true self emerges. But if it's not, then it does consume you. So,
Yeah.
um, like, very simply put, if the movie is about your inner battles, and if she is the you, or the whatever psychological term that would be, but if she's the you, and the whole thing is about actually confronting those things, it becomes kind of simple. There's just a lot of different ways to show that,
Yeah.
but if like, in the end, I think it fits.
I for the most part, agree with you. In fact, other than I think the characters around her, it's I think it's more so representing like, oh, if you don't go through these things, if you don't confront these inner things, this is like what can happen. Like you could be torn apart, kind of, from not dealing with those inner things. That could be what it represents. But I'm throwing it out there. Yeah, as an idea. Yeah, I'm gonna bring up the one line, which I guess is, you know, not really spoiling. It's a line from the movie, and I'm actually probably misquoting it. But that one, like, I think I got both of our attentions, Jesse. Where she's like, "Does evil come from within or outside of us?" I'm kind of misquoting it, but that's kind of the gist of it. I was like, "God damn, man, that wasn't just a bland line because it sounds cool, right? It's not, yeah, may the force be with you, where it's like it just sounds cool. That's why they're saying it instead of like making it like applicable and like important and have massive weight to it. This quote has weight to it because of what they show you throughout the rest of the movie. It's That's why this line is, I think, is brilliant in the middle of this movie. I think it's fucking brilliant. Uh, because of what things that Jesse just said, and you'll see. I think you'll see it if you're watching the movie. If you watch with your eyes fucking open, I think there's some interesting motifs, and about psychology, philosophy, even mystical, spiritual woo woo, even that. But if you don't want to do that, their psychology is there. It's very present in this. Uh, Granted, it might be represented by a ghoul or a goblin or sunlight and, you know, whatever, right? Or a heart or something like that. Sure. But it's still, I think they're talking about psychological phenomenon, and which is, let's be real, that's dope fucking storytelling to me. Especially when you don't make it so cheesy, right? They went pretty dark with it. I thought it was interesting. But all right, you've heard our thoughts. Probably making an assumption about whether we recommend it or not. I 100%, 2,000,000% recommend. I am calling this the fucking movie that came out this year. I'm calling it the movie of the year, straight up. I don't think it's fucking close either. Maybe something catches my attention within the next day or two, where it's like, oh shit, this is even better. But I fucking doubt it. I think I'm very sure that this is the movie of the year, and this is not coming from a reviewer who's watched 10 movies all year and they're all Marvel properties or whatever the fuck, right? Whatever these fucking people watch. They're all Hollywood blockbuster movies. I watch a shit ton of movies, from indie to pop culture. I watch it from all those areas. I haven't seen every movie, obviously, but I've seen a lot. And movies that came out this year, this is the best one, I think, by far. TV, there might be a battle there with Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but cinematically, or in film, in movies, this takes the cake. So I 2,000,000% recommend this movie, and I'm gonna give it a solid grade of. I'm going with an 8.4. 8.4 out of 10. And I think if I see it again with a renewed mind, the grade might go up. I don't see it going down. I see it as like, this could go up. Because now I have the lens of watching it that first time, and I have the fucking decoder ring. So now I can look throughout the beginning of the movie and be like, okay, oh shit, look what they were doing here. Look what they were doing there. Granted, I was paying attention to it. I was paying attention in the beginning and looking for these things. I'm like, okay, they got some setup here. And then that fucking Willem Dafoe character pops in, like, okay, now we're going there. And they kept going with it and going with it. I'm like, holy shit. Right until the end. The ending is a fucking symbol, bro. Like, they just kept going with it. And I'm like, God damn it, yes. Yes. So I don't see my grade going down. I can see it going up, though. But right now, as of right now, I'm going with an 8.4 out of 10, which is not like, if you've watched my reviews, I give a lot of movies that people call all-time greats. I give them 7s sometimes, or 7.5s. This is an 8.4 minimum. There you go. Jesse, would you like to give grade or recommendation? Same thing with you, Anthony. I think you missed some of it, but whatever. What do you got? If you want to go.
Yeah, so I definitely would recommend it. I don't watch too many movies like second time. That's not something that I typically do unless like a long time has passed. But I think I would want to watch this again, um, because as I said in the beginning, I didn't have a full sense of it. Even when you were like, how long into the movie were you where you're like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna even watch this again, or like I'm looking to watch this again. Like it was pretty far along, right? Like
It was in that
it was,
beginning where I'm seeing kind of almost typical vampire. I see some things here and
yeah,
there, but I'm also waiting for the
yeah.
movie to really start. Right? I was waiting
It,
for that.
it, yeah, it was uncertain, right?
Yeah.
Like a good chunk of time had passed where it felt like it was early on in the movie because there was still a lot to be revealed,
Yeah.
e- even though even though time wise quite a bit had passed. So I am looking forward to um to just seeing it all over, and I really get that because again, there are some things that I didn't get until after I finished watching the movie. I'm like, whoa. It's like-
Oh yeah.
so so I So even though I don't generally look forward to doing that, I would for this one. Um, so yeah,
Okay.
I think it's good.
Okay. And just to add on top, I was noticing things, but that could have easily went to shallow territory. Like when Nicholas Holt or Thomas, the character Thomas, you could see like a bite wound on his heart, where I guess Nosferatu is slowly draining him of blood during the night, and then when he wakes up, like, what's happened? Oh, it must have been a dream, but I have this bite mark on my fucking chest. That could have easily been something very simple in regards like, oh well, Nosferatu wants your girl, thus he's consuming your heart, and that's why he stole your locket or whatever the fuck. Little spoiler there, but it's not a big deal spoiler. Uh, so I'm like looking at that, I'm like, yeah, it's symbolic, but if that's the level it stays at, which I'd be like, damn, this is not rewatchable for me. I'd be like, all right, it's whatever. But once they got rolling, they got fucking rolling, and it was just hitting you over the one after another, scene after scene, just hitting you over the head. Pause, and I was like, God damn it, I like this. I really like this. I was calling it like halfway through. I was like, oh yeah, this is like kind of this is gonna be this is a good movie, kind of, or like already. And then like they can go slightly down or way up from here, and they went way up to me. So yeah. All right, there's our review for Nosferatu 2024. I'm calling it the movie of the year because it is. Sorry, it is. There you go.